Just going to remind everyone that we are being recorded. Okay, and the first item of business is public comment, but I assume, Jeanette, that no one contacted you, right, about any public comment, so we can just move through that. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, all right. Next item on the agenda would be the liaison report. Dwight, would you like to give us your liaison report? Good.
Sure.
Tonight.
How are you tonight?
Right.
A few things. We've been pretty quiet, the Board of Selectmen. There really hasn't been a lot going on recently, but there are some topics that you should be aware of. There's the selectmen at the last meeting in September voted to go ahead with some of the construction projects. One which is the old firehouse, to renovate that. One is the shed behind the new firehouse. One is the other one, which is for you, is for human services, to include you in that packet. So we are going to authorize the architect to go ahead and start working on some stuff. I believe at the meeting in October, we will be getting a committee together who will be working with the architect closely on that. And we'll be visiting all the departments. I got a phone call here. I got to try to. Okay, I'm sorry about that. And then the cell tower. I don't know if you've heard about it, but there's a cell tower which is planned, or which Verizon plans to install on 118 Newton Road. And there's a informational meeting that's been, I understand, scheduled by Verizon for October 22nd, Thursday. Information will be coming out so that anybody interested in that can join it via Zoom. They're going to have a Zoom meeting, but right now we don't know much about it other than that Verizon has selected a property to put it on. As you can imagine, as a result, a ton of hate mail about not having a cell tower in the middle of town, but we'll deal with that with Verizon separately. So, and that's about it. So it's been fairly quiet.
Okay. Thank you for your report. Are there any questions for Dwight or? Okay. Tom is not have a Board of Finance report. Next item on the agenda is the minutes of the September 14th, 2020 meeting. Has everyone had a chance to look at them? And they were sent with the packet. Does anyone have any corrections? I thought they were fabulous minutes. Viviana, I have no corrections. Does anyone else have any corrections?
Just make sure everybody's unmuted themselves. I gave you all a permission to unmute. Nancy, I gave you permission again. Nancy Atwood, you seem muted. Mary Lee is here. She's joined us. I don't know if Viviana, you noticed that, so you can get her into the meeting.
Thank you for telling me. I did not see her.
She's here now. Janet seems to have fallen off again. I did write to her that she could call in, use the call-in number. I'm so sorry to interrupt the minutes portion of this.
Things are not as they used to be. We have to be very flexible about all these little minor changes. It's challenging, guys. It really is. Again, back to the minutes. Does Pat, you have a correction?
No, just want to move we approve them.
Okay, fine. Do I have a second to approve the minutes?
Yeah.
Arnie. And I do apologize. I don't see everybody on my screen. So if somebody's raised their hand and they want to second something, if I don't see you, I apologize, okay? Okay, so all those in favor of accepting the minutes?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Hang on one second. Mary Lee, are you
Yes,
approving the minutes?
I am. I don't know where my face is.
Okay, I don't either, but it's okay. We can hear you. It
Good.
looks like Janet has rejoined us. Janet,
So this is Nancy Atwood. I don't oppose, but I'll abstain since I wasn't at the meeting.
Okay,
okay.
right.
And we have someone who joined with a phone number of 203-499-9360. I believe that's Janet. Janet, are you there?
What's the number again?
203-499-9360.
Not the number that I have on my list, but it could be.
Okay, can the person who is at that phone number please tell us who you are?
You have to unmute yourself first.
Well, usually the phones, all I have to do is unmute them, but if we don't know who you are, I actually do have to remove them from the meeting. We need to know for the minutes who is present at our meeting.
Is Jen here? Is Jennifer?
She's not coming.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd appreciate if you'd take that person off.
Okay, I'm just trying to make sure it's not her cell phone number, and we're removing Janet.
I didn't have a cell phone number on my list that I have, so,
Hang on one sec.
you know what, I could look on my phone. Where's my phone?
I'm sorry to delay the meeting. Give me 1 second. I'm just going to call her home phone and double check that this is not her cell phone, because
Yeah, I don't have her, so.
it's one of those phone systems where you have to press 1. Okay, so is this your phone number, 203-3? Oh, it is you, because I can hear my voice in the background. That's okay. We, as long as you can listen, we'll identify you. Okay. Terrific. So you can stay in touch, and you can use this number if you want to text us or tell us your vote on things. Okay. Oh, just it's 203. Here I am. I can't give my number out because we're being recorded. I'm sorry. I can actually mute myself. Hold on a second.
We're never going to forget these days, are we, guys?
Never.
They are forever.
We'd like to. My apologies. She's just going to listen, and she, you know, I'm not going to give out my cell phone number on a meeting. Not going to happen.
So just to make sure that Viviana knows, do you have all the information now, Viviana, of who is in and
Yes.
who's out and who is absent and who is abstaining? Because
Yes, I do.
at the last meeting. Amazing. Good.
All right. And Janet would abstain anyway because she wasn't here. So,
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
all right. Where were we? I'm sorry.
Viviana, did you have down that I abstained
Nancy,
because I wasn't
I
there?
have Nancy and Janet as having abstained.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yep.
Great to see your face, Nancy. Okay.
I was driving before, so I just had my video off.
No problem.
Next item on the agenda is additions to the agenda, and there are no additions to the agenda. Is that correct? Okay.
I do not
So-
have any.
Okay, so moving through our agenda, Human Services. Would you please give your Human Services report, Jeanette?
Sure. I am going to give Judy the first bit of time. She's going to give a report on all that she is doing for this community. Amazing stuff.
Welcome, Judy. We look forward to
Hi,
hearing your
everybody.
report. Judy.
Hi, everybody. Well, it has definitely been very busy at work. There's a lot of stuff going on. Always in the fall, it's usually busy. But we've got a lot of fuel assistance applications to take care of. And from that, from reaching out to the residents who applied last year, we always come across new issues that have come up that we are dealing with. And we're busy, well, I'm busy getting ready with, it's going to be open enrollment soon for, insurance. So people are calling about that. And it's really been, there's been some challenging cases, but, we've been working at them and things seem to be going well, really. Busy, but well.
What's a challenging case?
A challenging case.
Not asking for specific, but just
Yeah.
give me an idea.
Generally, I'm sorry, if you have to involve elderly protective services, that makes it challenging. If you have to involve the, other departments, it's challenging. But Judy, go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Right. No, that's okay. We've come across it. There is one substance abuse case that it just keeps reoccurring and reoccurring. And it's a challenging, it's challenging to work with these residents in particular, but we get through. It's just constant. And they take one step forward and two steps back pretty much. But it's limited, right? Resources are limited. We can't meet with people in face, which is very limited. Referring them to some other resources that I would normally refer to really isn't happening because they're not seeing people either. And some of the programs that I have referred to in the past are cut because there's no funding for them. But that's okay.
Is that state level cuts?
Some, and people like with food stamps, people lately are having a lot of issues with food stamps. It's been cut, there was a program where they could, with the last storm, they could apply to get reimbursed for some funds. Half the people have received the funds, half the people haven't received the funds. There's some financial struggles for people right now. So looking for different programs for them. So things like that.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
And
Anybody else have any questions? Happy to answer.
And by insurance, what you're referring to is the choices counseling?
Yeah, right. It's
Just
a
so
busy
that's clear.
time for health insurance, right? Oh, we've got actually October 24th, we have the Boy Scout food drive, in town that the pantry benefits from. So we're taking care of that. That's gonna have to run a little differently as we don't have a custodian to assist us on that Saturday, and we have to limit the people who are in the building. So we're hopefully, we're gonna have a nice weather day and be able to do as much of it outside as we can. So that's really what's going on.
Thank you.
Thanks, Judy. Thanks for coming tonight.
Yeah,
Thanks for all your hard work.
listen, takes a village.
Okay, I'll move right along with capital budget. The subcommittee met, Pat Madden and Susan and I met last week, at the end of the last week, and we went through what was in the capital budget, what we are carrying forward in the capital budget, what is coming off of the capital budget. I committed to speaking with Tony Genovese to move our ideas forward. And I'm just generally going to tell you some of these things because in my conversation with Tony Genovese, we agreed, and Susan and Pat and I agreed that we would put this to a vote at the November 2nd meeting. So you'll get in your materials, you'll get the 6-year plan, and that you can discuss and vote on at next meeting. So as it stands now, there's still a pending expenditure from 2021, which is approximately, what do I remember, $13,000, which is the town's share of the 5310 grant expenditure, our matching portion of that, and the van should be arriving early November is my guess, but this year is funny, so it could be any time. And so that expenditure is pulled already and ready to go. So that won't be in our submission. Additionally, 2022 contains an expenditure of $15,000 for cafeteria chairs. Those were put in the budget with Mary Ellen, and that is to replace the 100 chairs in the cafeteria that are one by one having fallen apart. They're old and used and ready to be replaced. And so that is staying in there. I am going to do a little bit more research and see what we can get this year for that kind of money, because again, $15,000 was put in year before last and it's been carrying forward. So we're approaching the year. We need to know what this year's money can buy us. And that's what I promised to do before the next meeting. I had thought to put $5,000 additional in that year to purchase new chairs for the lounge, as our old chairs in the lounge are fabric, stained, worn out and disgusting, and in light of COVID, cannot be cleaned properly. Today, luckily, I spoke with a person locally who has a grant, and she is quite happy to help us. So I'll be applying for that grant this week, and she seems to think it's a good fit for what she'll do. So that's not going to go into the budget. We'll move that ahead without it. So just the $15,000 for chairs, and we'll be lucky if we get that grant, but I don't see anything blocking our path on that right now. Sorry, going forward from there, 2023, we had a carport, and I'd like to push the carport off. It's not a critical item at this juncture. What we need in this building is air handling. There is no air handling in this building, so many towns right now are working on air handling upgrades to check filtration and fresh air and make sure that buildings are safe. We cannot upgrade something that doesn't exist. Unless a window is open, there is zero air exchange in this building. So I've talked to another town, Colchester, that has a building from 1880s. They're moving ahead, but with opening plans, but they're really cognizant of the fact that there's no air handling. And we're not talking about setting up fans, which obviously is a bad idea during COVID, but filtration is a good idea. And so I talked to Tony about the concept of air handling for the first floor of this building, the lower level, and it would be a system that would go on the roof. It would have ductwork down to the lower level. And is that my time up, Belle? And in years to come, as money is available, grants and all of that, we can add to it. I'm hopeful there are other places that this money will come from, but I think it's extremely important to get the concept of no air handling in this building in front of the selectmen, and to let them know what this building is from 1920s, that we do have to look at that issue going forward. Whatever they see fit, that's great, but I'm sure, Tony and I agree that the whole building needs to be done, but I don't think that that's in the cards. And so the area of the building that has the most occupancy is the senior center during regular business times. So we'll look to hope that just we can do this on an incremental portion. And then there was an expenditure for $35,000 for a car. We've pulled that out because, as you know, we got the car from the PD, and that's working out great. So that $35,000 comes out, and in the I can't even remember, I think 24 or 25, 2024 or 25, we have the carport is still lingering out there. So that's capital budget. Are there any questions?
Can you repeat when the carport is going to be added to the, is it the 2024?
Good question. Hold on one second.
Sure.
Said 24, 25.
24, 25, okay.
That's what I said, but let me double check for the minutes.
I think it's 2024 for the carport.
It's
Okay.
24. It is. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Next on the agenda, are there any questions? Next is the steep grant update. Unfortunately, I got an email today that said they had 90 applications and they'll let us know in 2 weeks or in a week. I think they said the 14th. So we're definitely in it. And I think it's very optimistic because it's a good response. Tony Genovese and I did a calculation. They had put $15 million toward this expense of steep grants. And we did a quick, what's $128,000 into 15 million, and we got 117. So we were assuming they were counting on at least 117 municipalities out of 169 applying for this grant, and that they only got 90, and ours is really good. I'm very optimistic at this point, because if you multiply 90 times 128,000, that's only 11.5, as Christy pointed out earlier today. So I think I'll still, if we get it on the 14th, if we find out about it, what is that? The 14th is next Wednesday, a week from Wednesday, I will send out an email.
Good idea. Great.
Okay. Reopening plan, I have to say not much has changed since my last report. The governor is moving into phase 3 on the 8th. And so that does allow 65-plus-year-olds to come out. I'm in touch with approximately 80 senior centers around the state, sign on to a weekly Zoom call, and we discuss opening plans, and I get a lot of feedback of what others are doing. And so we're working on that structure and what that would look like. Town Hall is still planning a January 2nd opening of the doors, soft opening late October, November, should our numbers stay steady. And that would involve appointments, that if Judy wants to meet with a client, that can happen in the building, especially if it gets cold and raw and she's meeting people on the street. And that's about what I know about reopening. I will hope that the numbers stay steady, and we can look at some programming come wintertime. What I hear from other senior centers that are opening is it's mostly the staff who has to maintain the, no, you need to put a mask on, no, you need to keep your distance, no, all the protocols, because they're coming in and they think once they're in, they can remove the mask or they can wear it, and it's like being policemen the whole time. But it's a transition time. People just have to get used to this for a while. What else is there? Their holiday baskets. Ellen sent out 55 donor letters this past week. And we're starting to hear back from people who are willing to contribute. We have not yet identified the families, but there is a plan ready for curbside pickup or delivery of the baskets this year and curbside donations. So we won't be doing it the same way we've done it before, where people come in and bring their donations, and then, you know, a couple hours later we have all the people coming in to pick up their baskets. It's just going to be handled a little differently. Probably the lion's share of the work will go to the drivers, who will just push out and deliver to people's homes. It probably just makes the most sense and keeps everybody safer. Any questions? Okay. I think that's all I was asked to discuss. I did have a note about the Boy Scouts, but Judy covered that, so we're all informed on that.
Okay, I will need a motion to accept the Human Services report.
I'll make a motion to accept.
And a second.
I'll second.
That was Nancy Atwood.
That was Nancy.
Nancy
Thank you.
Atwood. Yes.
All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay.
It looks unanimous.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is youth services.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for having me. I wanted to mention the grants. I don't have a lot of definites on, monies that are available, but we were asked to, apply again this year. So we have some new forms from ECF. They're due by the 15th of this month. I have been reaching out to the schools, particularly Beecher Road School, to try to talk to administrators about planning for this year, because everything's so up in the air. I think we should go ahead and, apply as we normally do, and then try to adjust it throughout the year. We still really don't know if we'll be able to have the enhancement grant, but whether or not we will continue the after-school guided study program as it was, or if we'll try to do something virtual, we shall see. So I will work. I just heard back from Cheryl Mammon, who's the Director of Special Services, and we will try to talk tomorrow to do our planning so that I can get those forms in by the 15th. They want us also to report on the expenses from last year on the enhancement grant to see how we spend it, because they tried to be flexible as we had to be at the end of the school year, and we spent it just a little bit differently, added some different supplies and whatnot at the end of the year. So that should be done soon. Local prevention, I'm sorry, I have Local Prevent Council on the report. It's really Local Prevention Council, so I apologize for that. We understand that, we just heard this actually last week, midweek, that the person who normally applies for the Local Prevention Council grant through Alliance for Prevention and Wellness is no longer there. She has not applied for the current fiscal year, and there was still money to be spent from last fiscal year. So that's the three towns, Bethany, Orange, Woodbridge. There's money still to be spent by the end of this year. We received an extension, and they gave us an extension to apply for this year's grant by the end of the year. And since Milford Prevention Council has received a larger grant, and they are working with our Local Prevention Council, was called BODAC, so we shall see. They are working to try to get us up to speed, to have us meeting monthly, have bylaws written, because we really didn't have any. We haven't had a meeting, honestly, in over a year. So Jeanette, we talked, and Jeanette has reached out to the other selectmen to have a meeting. So we will meet 19th of October to move forward and try to come to some consensus as to how to apply for this grant, and see if someone will replace that former chairperson. And I did hear from the head of the Alliance for Prevention and Wellness. She just reached out to me, emailed, and said that she wanted to speak to me about the application. So we may want to include her as well, just to have some help with it possibly. So programming, we do have a Home Alone course for 9 through 12-year-olds coming up. It's a 2 Thursday course, so we'll start it outside this Thursday. And we have 9 kids. I have spots just for 10, so that we can be socially distant, but we have 9 kids signed up already. And Vinnie Lynch has said he will help, when we talk about emergencies with the kids. So, we'll run through that program. It's a really good program for kids, and we'll talk about creating house rules, especially in light of COVID and that more and more kids are, home alone. So I think it'll be a good program. And I think Kathy, our program coordinator, is, going to be excited to work with me on that. So we'll see. I'm just hoping it turns out nicely. And it's only $15. So I think that it should be a fun program for the kids. The Amity Middle School is having a color run. It's a fundraiser, and it's $40 to register. It's on October 17th. So we provided some funds to help out with that. And we're hoping some families come out with that. The principal has talked to the health district to make sure that they are complying with the social distance and wearing masks. And it should be a fun morning. So that's the 17th, and $40 to register if anybody feels like a walk or a run. It should be fun. I am working to try to get an Anti-Defamation League program. It would have to be virtual this year, of course, so it may not be the same effect on the kids as it is when they come together for the large program, but I still think it's important to go ahead with something. Kathy Ressler and I both did a Narcan training that was run by Alliance for Prevention and Wellness, and we did get Narcan finally, so I have a kit for our staff programming, wherever we might need it. I'm happy to have that. Also, our first responders have it, but nice to have one on hand. Kathy and I have talked about possibly doing a kindness club, maybe something a little different this year. Maybe we could buy some materials and have kids come and pick them up and work on something at home and then just return it and get their community service hours. So we're trying to work on community service as well. We are hearing from the high school that there really hasn't been much activity that way. Assumption Church is going to have a food drive. And so they'll be helping, other organizations in Connecticut. So we did reach out to the high school and recommend that they send 3 kids there. And I was just thinking, if we have a soft opening, we might be able to have 1 or 2 kids in by appointment to help sort the food that we do have if need be in October, November. Toys for Kids program, I'm told, will go ahead. But it will be different this year. I haven't heard any details yet, so I will be following up with them to see, because we just do not want to cancel the holidays for the kids. And we will have some applications, I'm sure. Jeanette and I met with the principal and social worker. There's a new social worker at the middle school, so I'm happy to see that there's a social worker there. And she's very new and very excited to get started. And we talked about possibility of maybe a mentorship program from the high school to the middle school, or possibly even peers if there's someone coming from a different country or culture. And also, we talked about anxiety and what's been going on there. Also, I met with the social worker, the 2 social workers, actually, the youth service director from Orange, and I met virtually with the 2 social workers, one from the high school, one from the middle school. And we talked about possibility of, creating some programming together. So we really do enjoy collaborating that way. And I think that we can just do better programming if we do. Right now, I think there are 3 support groups that are running, mostly anxiety support at the high school. And I don't know that will happen at the middle school, but it's definitely a possibility. And we shall see. I really hear more and more that there's stress at the faculty level. Our faculty is, they are really stretched and they are stressed and they're trying to make it all work for the kids. And I'm sure they're walking on eggshells, worrying about themselves and their own families. So it's an interesting time, and we really do, want to come up with some good ideas to help, possibly a parent program. That's what I'm thinking next. And I am working with the PTOs, honestly, because I found that it was just really difficult to get the word out to kids at Beecher Road School because they will not distribute our information. And so, but I did work with the PTO president, and she and I will meet at some point to see how we can go forward and make sure we get the word out. And when they shared our information on their Facebook, suddenly we got kids calling about Home Alone. So I don't think parents are really looking at our website as much as they are, just Facebook and what's coming out there. So we may want to consider a youth service Facebook at some point, but definitely we try to get it out through the forums, and it's big help, really big help. I think that's all I have for right now. That's it.
Are there any questions, Nancy? No questions, and I'll need a motion to accept the youth services report.
I'll make a motion, Mary Lee.
Okay, thank you, Mary Lee. Any second?
Looks like Arnie was seconding.
Arnie.
Perfect. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Looks like it, I can't see everyone, but. Okay. Next on the agenda is the Woodbridge Center report. Jeanette?
So the outdoor classes are going really well, with great attendance. In fact, sort of too many some days. 11 at an exercise class is just a little bit more than we can fit. 10 is comfortable, and then you get into trees and roots. So we want to keep everybody safe. Luckily, 2 of the people who came were a couple, so they could be close together, and that worked out well. Weather is not on our side for this. And we're going to lose temperatures really quickly. The mean temperature for the last week in October is 52 degrees, which sounds awful. But we did buy 2 heaters, and we're hopeful that we can keep going until the end of October. Exercise is still on Channel 79. We want to extend our gratitude to Pua Ford, who made that possible, and it will continue to be available to folks who are staying home and want to exercise on Tuesdays and Thursday mornings at 10 a.m. on Channel 79. We know that bringing seniors into the building is a difficult task, but we also have to weigh that with an extended isolation factor. And so we are going to do our very best to make smaller cohorts and make activities that can accommodate distance. So they're not going to be playing mahjong, and they're not going to be playing cards, but we may be able to, have a lecture or some music or a movie, a short movie, and do some programming that even make some music. Christy has supplied us with some percussion instruments, and we can sure make a lot of noise with just a few people. So I think that would be fun for folks. But we do need to look at that. We need to look at that starting in January. So that's what we'll be working on. And as I said before, working with approximately 80 other senior centers and hearing their best practices for opening and what's working and what's not working. And we're waiting. I think we're with the majority. They took a short poll last week at the Zoom meeting, and still the majority of centers that were on the call will not be opening till at least January, and some did not have a date yet. Some actually, the question was there, are you waiting for a vaccine? So that would be a very long wait, I think. Just want to mention the flu clinics, because every opportunity to mention those is important. We have 2 flu clinics coming, a drive-through flu clinic on October 20th, and that'll be out front of the building. It's by appointment only. You can either call us for the contact information for VNA Healthcare and Community Healthcare and Hospice of Guilford, and that's where you make your appointment, but we can provide you with that number, or you can go online, and there are still appointments left. The second date is October 26th, and that'll be under the white tent, and that's also by appointment only through Orange VNA. The insurance, accepted insurance is different for each clinic, so I suggest people call in to find out. The first clinic, you can self-pay. If you don't have accepted insurance, the second clinic, you cannot. So that's that. I think that's it. Any questions?
What are the times for the drive-throughs? Actually, both flu clinics.
Yeah, the drive-through is 11 to 2, and the OVNA, the orange VNA under the tent, is 12 to 2.
12 to 2. Thank you.
Welcome.
If there are no other questions, I'll need a motion to accept.
I just have a question / comment. Janetta, we were talking about having people come to the building and that being potentially challenging. I was thinking, but you also mentioned that there's a risk to not doing that also due to loneliness issues and whatnot, especially once the weather gets cold, sort of closed in. Are there thoughts about allowing people to come in some sort of staggered schedule, day a week per person or something like that?
You know, a couple of places have mentioned that they're opening a limited number of hours. So, you know, if someone just needed to come in and see us, but there was no program, you know, from 12 to 2, there would be, you know, each day, 5 days a week, there might be, you know, sort of come in and ask your question or come in and see us. And we could set something up where a distance interface could happen. Unfortunately, with our place, there's no reception desk. So when people come in, they just sort of wander into your office. And that doesn't really work for us. You know, I have to say that when I sit at my desk, I don't wear my mask. When I cross the threshold or somebody asks to come in, then I put my mask on. But sitting at my desk all day with a mask on would be, I think that would be a little hard for me. That said, you know, a 2-hour window where people can come in, especially by appointment or call us. And we're talking about, I don't know if you know those things at the bank that I'm going to put my hands way up here so you can see them, that, you know, pulls across. And you have 2 posts, pillars, and then something that pulls across. I've talked to building maintenance about putting one of those on the doorway and a pair of footprints on the ground outside that tells them to stop here. So that if the doors do get open in January and people are just coming, they have a visual to stop before they come up to your desk. I don't know if I've described this in the past, but when seniors would come into my office, they would start adjusting the papers on my desk and standing really on top of me. So we want to make sure that we just all create a little distance. And I have a chance to put on my mask before I greet them. And Nancy, we've talked about her office as well when the building opens, to have a sign outside that says, you know, either call if you don't have an appointment, you can call from the hallway, but the door will be, you know, closed or locked, and they have to call in for you to greet them. We get a lot of people stopping in the building looking for the police department. So they come all the way in looking for the police department because our signage is not good. And they just want to, you know, pay a ticket at our desk because they think they're at the police department. So we want to make sure our signage gets better. There's some footprints that tell people, visual signs, and then maybe even the, Christy, what were we calling those things when I looked them up? Do you remember? The bank strips. I did look them up. We can buy them. I'm sorry, I don't have the name of them. They're like a barrier, but an easy barrier to get through. Yeah, good point, Arnie. You know, we definitely encourage that kind of interface, but controlled, to keep everybody safe, because we do worry, you know, if our staff goes down, there isn't anyone to do this work for all these clients. And by down, I just mean we get sick. So we try to back each other up, but this is, you know, a new situation for us. I think we stopped short of voting on this.
We did stop short of voting on it, so.
Sorry.
No, listen, questions, one of the things that I personally miss with not sitting around a table is I think we have more of an interchange, an exchange of ideas. It's a little, anyhow.
And it makes these meetings more interesting. If I'm not the only one talking and Nancy's not the only one talking, we want to hear from you guys.
Exactly. Okay, I will need a motion to accept the Woodbridge Center report.
So moved.
Okay, Pat, a second.
I'll
Nancy
second.
Atwood. I'll second.
Okay.
Nancy, thank you. Okay, everyone in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries, and I think, again, it's, we can't unfortunately get a response from Janet. Okay, next item on the agenda would be old business. And there's one item there, and then any new business, but we'll do old business first.
Okay, so Christy went through a year's worth of veteran transports to see what the actuals were. I actually had an erroneous number on an older report that when we looked into it, it was much less money than we had anticipated. I was looking at a report that said $800. Turns out it was $353 for an entire year of transporting veterans and their spouses. It may be lower due to the fact that, during COVID, people did not have as many medical appointments. So it's not really a great test year to look at this number. I looked into other towns and what they were doing. I did put a question out to the CASP organization, and I got a limited number of responses, probably about 14 responses, which is still pretty healthy. All but 2 of the responses, so Cromwell, Colchester, Fairfield, Madison, North Haven, Trumbull, Wallingford. I had 2 more, I'm sorry. So there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there were 9 responses. They provide completely free transportation. The 2 that I didn't include in those they ask for donations. So they do ask for something, but it's not a set fee. Cromwell, Colchester, Fairfield, Madison, North Haven, Trumbull, and Wallingford provide completely free transportation for seniors and those who are disabled. All the other towns didn't respond, so I can't tell you. There are quite a few towns that charge like we do. We're not an anomaly. But my recommendation is at that cost to continue doing it. We'll relook at this in a year, and if the numbers go up and it starts to really cost the town some money, we can certainly look at either discontinuing it, or we've always had the inability to pay as a way that, if somebody can't and we look at their finances and they can't, they don't pay. We have clients who do not pay for transportation. So if it becomes a hardship, we can do that too. It's really, it's tough times financially for the town, but this is a pretty nice gesture to those who've served the country, and you can split the difference. You can, we have a number of spouses who use this as well. And if you want to end the spouse portion of it and just give the free transportation to the veteran, whatever you want to do.
I think we should continue supporting what you started and transporting these veterans. I don't see any reason not to, especially with all these other towns doing it. It's not like we'd be the only town that came up with that. So I don't know about anyone else. I think we should continue doing it.
To be clear, those towns are offering free transportation to everyone, not just veterans. So I think there was only 1 or 2 that do the free, I think Madison, the free transportation for veterans. So I just want to be clear that I reported this correctly. So-
Jeanette, the figure that you gave, the 350, does that include spouses as well or just veterans?
It does. It does.
It does, okay.
Yeah.
I would suggest we keep the current policy of providing the service
Thank you, Patrick.
as well. I think that's a good idea.
Jeanette, do you want a motion right now for that?
I don't think we need a motion to continue a practice we already have.
No, we don't. Yeah.
Perfect.
But just to let you know, that was 131 trips they made last year. It's October to September. It's actually 11 months. So yeah, I think we can just continue as we are.
Messing around.
Good.
Somebody needs to mute.
Okay.
Too much
Okay,
information.
that's it for old business from me.
Okay. Is there any new business? Okay, I guess if there's no new business and we finished with our entire agenda, we just need to note that the next meeting will be November 2nd, Monday, November 2nd. And if there is no other business to come before us, then hi to everyone. And I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, in a second.
Second,
Arnie, or second, Mary Lee, doesn't matter. Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 The meeting is adjourned.
Well
And,
done.
Bye, everyone.
Lots of
Thank you.
things happening, and we thank the staff for
Stay
all the
safe.
hard work.
Yes, thank
Yes,
you.
very
Halloween.
much so.
Just
Happy Halloween.